connecting the Jamaican diaspora abroad and at home. Both sides of a story. Both sides of the story, highlighting the positive role of the Jamaican diaspora. Sides of a story.
We always need to hear both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Time now for Both Sides of the story of Jamaicans at home and Jamaicans abroad on Power 106 FM. We will not take sides, but we listen to your side. Stay with us as we explore the issues, present the facts, speak with the experts, and as always, listen to both sides. What's your story? Tell us on both sides of the story by calling our local numbers 876-922-411225. You can listen to both sides of the story on the Power 106 FM app via the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, as well as on onespotmedia.com. Plus, listeners in the USA can dial 631-359-8281 to listen. And if you're in the UK and you wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM, you can call 0330-606-0953. You can watch both sides of the story live on the Dervan Malcolm Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Both Sides 106. Email bothsides106@live.com. Send your WhatsApp voice notes, audio messages, and text messages to 876-365-3346. Remember, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. So stay with us as we listen to both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session. Power 106.
To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know that one life has breathed easier because you lived here. This is to have succeeded. We're still in the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, the Decade of Action for Road Safety, and the International Year of Recognition for Indigenous Languages. It's the 19th day of the 8th month of 2024. Put another way, it's the 19th day of the 3rd month of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. In the United States, the month of August is being observed as Children's Eye Health and Safety Month, Gastroparesis Awareness Month, National Breastfeeding Month, National Immunization Awareness Month, Psoriasis Action Month, and Summer Sun Safety Month. It's apple spas in Russia, where they're also remembering the day of the failed August 1991 coup. It's Independence Day in Afghanistan, National Aviation Day in the USA. The Revolution of 1945 is being remembered in Vietnam. The birth of the Crown Princess Mette-Marit is being celebrated in Norway, and the Montserrat annual pilgrimage continues. And so we welcome you to today's edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, on Power 106 FM on this Monday afternoon, Monday, the 19th of August, 2024. And we greet you well, wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices, and that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome. Thank you very much for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Welcome if you're in touch with us for the first time. It's a pleasure to have you join us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, here on Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Live on your smart devices all over the world, and looking forward to your full participation. After all, it is your program. The numbers to call, 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. 3346. And we look forward to your full participation. I perhaps could have started this afternoon uh, musically with Bob Marley's So Much Trouble in the World. But what is clear is that, or is getting clearer, as the song says by Jimmy Cliff, The Rain Is Gone, that there was a time that the citizens of a country would not be, well, maybe there was a time, but we have seen in recent times and before that instances of citizens taking up arms or doing otherwise to get their views or positions across. And they would take you through different stages, doing different things to try and elicit the support of the entire population and or the state apparatus that is in place, no matter how fickle. But clearly, more and more, one gets a sense that the people really and truly want to demonstrate their responsibility in ensuring that the people, in fact, get justice. And so it's encouraging, not the type necessarily that is going to burn down the house while you're in it, if at all, but to demonstrate love for country fundamentally. In other words, we, the people, are taking this action not because we love the country any less, but as the saying goes, I love Jamaica most, for example. I love Jamaica most, or we love Jamaica most. Not that we love it any less when we take certain actions, but the people have a responsibility. And when people are, in fact, taking charge and demonstrating a level of responsibility, and one moment, please, let's take the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:15. What is independence? At Hyper, we believe real independence means self-sufficiency, sustainability. It means developing the capacity to grow what we eat and eat what we grow smartly. Hyper continues to be your source of quality agricultural inputs and technical support to make sure Jamaica produces the best quality crops, poultry, and livestock. We sacrifice to achieve political independence. Let's work together to secure our food independence. Grow with Hypro.
Morning Agenda continues the tradition of providing a unique platform for healthy public debate. Weekdays from 7:15 to 9 a.m. Join Jody and Corey on Mondays and Tuesdays and Kemwan McEachron on Wednesdays and Thursdays, while they alternate on Fridays as they set the agenda and break down the issues and keep you informed on what matters to you most. Morning Agenda, speaking with the stakeholders, movers and shakers of our day, serving listeners in Jamaica and around the world. Stay tuned to the Morning Agenda on Power 106 FM, weekdays 7:15 to 9 a.m., where we set the agenda.
So over the years as well, we have seen and heard and experienced decisions being made, we're told, in the interest of the country without recognizing the inner workings and some of the sinister actions and activities. So we could take you back to 1940 when the government of Jamaica in 1940 decided to suspend the municipal election, which was scheduled to take place in November. This followed a decision taken the previous year in which election for the Legislative Council was suspended. The postponement of both elections is due to the exigencies of wartime. It would be best they should not be held because of the possible widespread political disputes which would accompany them. So this is a story published in 1940, and the last KSAC election was held in 1937. And here is another example of how politicians can play games. Others would say, no, it's not playing games, it's just being smart. And the story is 1949, by deed poll, Western St. Anne member of the House of Representatives, Gideon Whitfield Gallimore, changed his name to Gideon Whitfield Arbuthnot Gallimore. He won his seat in 1944 on a JLP ticket, but subsequently became an independent member of the House, then joined the Agricultural Independent Party, and as the story goes, has recently become an independent member again. So that's another of the examples. But we have to, as members of citizens of this country, we have to continue to play our part. We have to continue to be able to scrutinize what's happening, what should be happening, what's not happening, and keep the decision makers, including the people naturally, on their toes, as well as those who are occupying state position at the moment. We also have to contend with the vagaries of nature. That's another thing by now we should be conversant with and able to make a few forward steps in a way that is progressive, effective, true, and necessary. So take, for example, because of the damage to crops by Hurricane Charlie in 1951, which hit Jamaica 2 days earlier, An emergency scheme costing £40,000 was announced by the governor, Sir Hugh Foote. The money was to provide free distribution of seed for food crops through the Jamaica Agricultural Society and the Department of Agriculture. In addition, a sum of £50,000 was provided by government to cover the cost of the free issue of nails and other building materials. So we know by virtue of where we live as a people, we know of the possibilities. We know of the vagaries of nature. And so it shouldn't be a surprise because we know where we live. And that's why, for the most part, we should have the better of these systems more way. And we're not being braggadocious. We're just saying that we have a store of memory, how we did what, when we did it, how we, where, etc. Storage of information, storage of data, so that we learn even more and even faster in a number of respects. So we encourage you to, we encourage all of us to continue to play our part to make this place better than we found it. Thank you very much for listening here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. And we're taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. So whatever the interest of yours, whatever the situation, let's discuss it. And we invite your full participation. 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. Good afternoon to Inez Ayona Campbell. She says, a pleasant Monday afternoon to everyone. Jeannie Chambers says, good afternoon, teacher. Catherine Kelly says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Sending love and greetings to you and your listeners. Many happy returns, Catherine Kelly. Valerie Weller-Peck says, good afternoon to everyone. Same to you, Valerie Weller-Peck. Thank you very much for making it both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. And still taking your calls, as we've said, 876-922-4112-5. Chanel Brown says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chanel. J.M. Master Songwriter says, Miss B says, greetings, Mr. Malcolm. Greetings to you too. J.M. Master Songwriter, Miss B says, how are you, Mr. Dervan? I hope all is going with you. I think you left out well. All is going well with you and your family. We give thanks. We give thanks. Thank you very much for your message. And keep those calls and those messages coming in. 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. So this afternoon we started off with the poetry of Ralph Waldo Emerson and the musical genius of Jimmy Cliff. And we thank you for your usual participation here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. And we're looking forward to more of your messages, your issues, your concerns, your questions, your stories. After all, this is both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. And we continue to take your calls on 876-922-4112-5. It's a platform that is wide open to you, our faithful listeners and viewers all over the world. Not many listeners have this length of time to express themselves and to help us to appreciate the stories of the day, the issues of our times. And long may that continue. If the people have room to express themselves, then that is likely to impact temper, or temper will be tempered because people are able to express themselves and to have the listening ears of those within their space. Without that, they might feel a sense of suffocation, not having that room of expression. And so we are happy to be able to provide this opportunity to our listeners at home and abroad. And that's why we keep the lines open, 876-922-4112-5. Let's go to the break and come back with more. In fact, when we return, it will be time for Land Solutions.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:30. I want to tell the farmers about the Digital Foundation. It not only helped me as a farmer, but it helped my entire community with farming. I want you to know that they have a new thing coming out called the 20 for 20 for 20 grants. If you're a registered community organization with disabilities, schools, even farmers, you need to apply for the grant at the digitalfoundation.org.
Whether you're overseas or in Jamaica, everybody wants their liquor piece of yard. Well, that's where a JMMB Bank Mortgage comes in. With JMMB, you'll get more support, more incentives, more benefits, more coverage with JMMB insurance brokers. And also, we give you more time to repay. Your JMMB mortgage expert will answer all of your questions and guide you through every step along the journey. You're not alone with JMMB. Contact us at info@jmmb.com and learn how you can get more than just a mortgage. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, presents their 60th annual conference from Monday, August 19 to Wednesday, August 21 at the Ocean Coral Spring Mountain Spring Bay in Trelawney. Join Power 106 FM for a live outside broadcast of Morning Agenda from 7:15 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Tuesday, August 20 from the JTA's 60th annual conference for discussions with key stakeholders in Jamaica's education sector. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, Unite and Serve. That's a broadcast of Morning Agenda, Tuesday, August 20, from the Jamaica Teachers Association's 60th annual conference at the Ocean Coral Spring Mountain Spring Bay in Trelawney. from 7:15 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on Power 106 FM.
Auto World.
It's the only program on Jamaican radio dedicated to the world of automobile. It's the Auto World with Shelly and McLagan. Get news and reviews relating to vehicles and automotive technology. Learn the ins and outs of mechanical operation. Find out about the various stakeholders in the local and international automotive sectors. From auto finance to road safety to motorcycles, the Auto World is your one-stop shop for everything auto. That's the Auto World with Shelly and McLagan. Weekdays at 5:15 p.m. on Power 106 FM and the Power 106 FM app.
It's a Monday afternoon, just after 2:30, and you know what that means. Time for Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. And feel free to call 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number on Land Solutions. And the numbers for those who would like to get in touch with a law firm, 876-908-3518. 876-908-3518. Another number is 876-908-1950. 876-908-1950. The email address, gloria@landsolutionsja.com. gloria@landsolutionsja.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja, facebook.com/landsolutionsja. And the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Center in Halfway Tree. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National. That's where the Jamaica National is, upstairs, Shop 6. And you're invited, if you're in and around the area, to take advantage of the services on offer. But right now, let's say hello and welcome to our host on today's edition of Land Solutions, attorney at law, Gloria Brown.
Thank you, Dervan. Good afternoon and good afternoon, listeners. Welcome again to Land Solutions. Please send me your text messages to 876-387-3183, 876-387-3183, or give me a call here now in studio, 922-411-325, 876-922-411-325, or a text message 876-387-3183. Remember that we have an office in Kingston and one in Ocho, or as Dervan told you a while ago, you may call into our offices. The Ocho office for now is just open on a Thursday, and remember you can come in this Thursday. Ms. Finley will be in office in Ocho this Thursday, and I'll be there for a short time, but come to see us in Ocho this Thursday between 10 and 1, so that we can assist you in any matter related to land ownership. Ms. Finley will be there. You can go in and see her. So right now, any question related to land ownership, buying land, selling land, getting a title, making a will, writing a will, administering an estate, any troublesome matter, anything, you're at the right place, you can just give us a call, 922-411-325. And the text line or the WhatsApp line, 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. An interesting article that I saw in the Cleaner on Wednesday, August 14th. Court sustains prenup precluding wife from husband's estate. Very interesting. So it says a businessman who had signed a prenuptial agreement but wanted to meddle, a businesswoman, who had signed a prenuptial agreement but wanted to meddle in her husband's estate after his death, was denied the opportunity when the Supreme Court upheld the agreement. What is that saying? Let me put it down in layman's terms. When persons enter into a relationship, or even after you have entered, before you enter, or even after you have entered, but the usual thing is that before persons get married, under the Property Rights of Spouses Act, and that is one of our newer pieces of legislation, under that act, a person may enter into a prenuptial agreement. And this act is a 2006 piece of legislation, so it's just 18 years old. So what that legislation is saying is that before Mr. and Mrs. Brown get married, they can come to an agreement to say anything that Mrs. Brown brings into the marriage is hers, anything Mr. Brown brings into the marriage is his. And whatever we acquire during the marriage, we will share. Then you can put the agreement in any way you want. But one thing you need to know is that each party must get independent legal advice. So it's what you can't use the same lawyer. And the document must be properly executed. There's an interesting piece of legislation called the Property Rights of Spouses Act. And it's an act that I need to probably spend a little time. Because under this piece of legislation, there's an important property called the family home. And the act says the family home means the dwelling house that is wholly owned by either or both of the spouses and used habitually or from time to time by the spouses as their only or principal family residence, together with any land and buildings, etc. So, if both Mr. and Mrs. Brown own a property and they live in it as man and wife, or Mr. Brown alone owns it and they live in it as man and wife, or Mrs. Brown alone owns it and they live in it as man and wife, then that is the family home. Okay, and I go back to the prenuptial. And the act says in section 6, it says subject to subsection 2, each spouse shall be entitled to one half of the family home. So that's on the face of it. So Mr. Brown has a house. He sees a nice lady outside there. He moves her into the house and they're living there for 5 years. Both of them are single people. After 5 years, she's a spouse. So therefore, she's entitled to a half. Or he gets married to her. He doesn't have to wait 5 years after the marriage. Get married to her. Immediately she's a spouse. She's entitled to a half. Or Mrs. Brown moves Mr. Brown in her house. He's entitled to a half. And that is on the face of it. So the presumption is that when you have the family home, remember I said the family home must be owned by the two parties together, that's the husband and wife or the spouses, or must be owned by either of them. So subject to this act, each spouse shall be entitled to one half share of the family home. But the court can rebut that presumption that is half and half. The court can decide otherwise. It says, where in the circumstances of any particular case, where the court is of the opinion that it would be unreasonable or unjust for each spouse to be entitled to one half the family home, the court may, upon application by an interested party, make such orders as it seems reasonable. So even though the act says half and half, the court could say otherwise. I've seen the court saying one party should get just 1/10. And look at some of the things that the court will consider before the court decides that it should not. The court might say it should not be an half and half because and the act says some other reasons. The family home was inherited by one spouse. So if Mr. Brown mother who left the house for him. Okay. Or the family home was already owned by one spouse at the time of marriage or the beginning of cohabitation. So when they started living together, because remember, I'm saying that under this act, is the spouse who is entitled to a half on the face of it, and the spouse is not just your husband or your wife. pastor and say, I do. That's not just spouse. A spouse is more, if you remember, in Jamaican law, a spouse is a single man living with a single woman for 5 years immediately before death. So you're living with a gentleman or you're living with a lady or will access a single woman who has cohabited with a single man, or if she were as if she were Lloyd's wife for a period of not less than 5 years, or a single man who has cohabited with a single woman as if he were in law of her husband for a period of not less than 5 years. Immediately preceding the bringing an action in court, that person seems to be your spouse. So it's not just the person you're married to in Jamaica, who is your spouse. If you live with a lady or a man for 5 years and both of you are single, that person is your spouse. Remember the number to call, 922-411-325. 922-411-325. And the text line is 387-3183. Text line 876-387-3183. So I was looking at what are some of the things that the court will look at before to say that, hey, Mrs. Brown should not get a half of the property. So the court might say the family who was inherited is Mrs. Brown mother, Mr. Brown mother who left the house for you. So Mrs. Brown shouldn't get a half. Or when Mrs. Brown entered the relationship, Mr. Brown had his house already. So that thing the court will look at. Another thing that the court will look at is to say, hey, this marriage was short. I just married this year and the marriage break up. So the court will look at that and say, hey, you're not entitled to a half of the man's house or the lady's house. The relationship just started. So the court will not just jump and say husband and wife half and half. The court will look at those things. But another thing the court will look at is this thing that I started on this when I discussed the prenuptial agreement. And a lot of times persons don't want to enter into prenuptial agreement because when I asked when Mrs. James asked Mr. James to sign the prenup, Mr. James going to say she not sign it because Mr. James don't trust her. And you can't have relationship without trust, but the reality is a lot of times relationships don't last, which is why the court will look at the duration. Okay, sometimes the children will bring the action in to say, hey, stepmother shouldn't get a half because she just married to daddy last year. So she shouldn't get a half of his property. He should fall into the estate or into whatever maybe he has willed it to them and so on. So I'm going to continue with that a little after the break. This is Land Solutions. I'm Gloria Brown.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45. The Minister of Finance and the Public Service, in collaboration with the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, is pleased to announce that all nominations are now open for the 2024 Public Bodies Corporate Governance Awards, which will be held on December 4, 2024. Let excellence reign and be recognized for your high standards of corporate governance practices across a variety of categories. Submit your nomination by 4 p.m. on Friday, September 6th. Submission is free. Visit mof.gov.jm for more information.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. The numbers to call, 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. And the text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. Let's hand you over once again to your host on this week's edition of Land Solutions, Attorney at Law, Gloria Brown.
Thank you, Dervan. Please remember the numbers to call, 922-411-325, 876-922-411-325. And the text line is 876-387-3183. So you want to send me a message, a text message or a WhatsApp message, 876-387-3183. Or remember, you can even send an email to gloria@landsolutions.ja.com. gloria@landsolutions.ja.com. Alright, so I was saying earlier, and today is really a school day. Okay, I'm teaching today. So I was saying earlier that when two persons get married or two persons enter into a relationship and they have two single persons and they have been in this relationship for 5 years, as if they were man and wife, then the law says that where there's a property owned by the two parties or owned by one party and they cohabit, they live in that property, so that property is a family home, the presumption is that it's owned half and half. If it's in the wife's name alone or the husband's name alone and they live in there together as man and wife and they have been living together as single people for 5 years or they were married and lived together, the law says the property is owned half and half. But if you got a go to court, the court would say otherwise. The court will look at things like, did the person inherit the property? Did the person own the property before the other party came into the relationship? And the court will also look to say how long have these parties been together. Another thing that the court will look at, and the case I started with, another thing that the court will look at is if there's a prenuptial agreement, the court will give consideration to that. Okay, and that's an agreement. All right, under section 8, it says, where the title to a family home is in the name of one spouse only, the other spouse may take steps as may be necessary to protect his or her interests, including the lodging of a saving or transactions concerning the family home, which will require the consent of both parties. So both parties can come to an agreement. Both parties can come to an agreement as to what is to happen in relation to the family home. So section 10 says, subject to subsection, I would love to say these things. Spouses or two persons in contemplation of their marriage to each other or of cohabiting with each other shall make such agreement with respect to the ownership and division of their property as they think fit. And that is what we call in the prenuptial. The parties may make arrangement as to the ownership or division of their property as they think fit. Spouses may, for the purpose of settling any differences that may arise between them concerning property owned by either, make such agreement with respect to the ownership and division of property as they think fit. Okay, I must apologize. I'm getting a few disruptions in terms of calls coming through while I am discussing the matter. So that is the provision that is made in the act. So it is saying that the spouses may, the parties may, with respect to the family home, make such agreement as they think fit. And the agreement may define the share of the property or any part thereof to which each spouse can be entitled. So Mr. Brown could say that Mrs. Brown is to get 1/10 of the property, or she's to get nothing at all out of the property, or how the shares are to be calculated. Each party to an agreement, this is the important part, and this came out in the case I mentioned earlier. Each party to an agreement under subsection 1 shall obtain independent legal advice before signing the agreement. So if Mr. and Mrs. Brown, if Mr. and Mrs. Brown should come to an agreement and say that the property is to go to just one party, the marriage should fall apart, then what is to happen is that each of them must have independent legal advice. So both of them can't come to Gloria Brown and say, Ms. Brown, I wanted to prepare this agreement and sign it up. No, if one of them should come to Ms. Brown and the other one has to go to another attorney. They have to have independent legal advice before signing the agreement. And that is very, very important. So in this particular case that I spoke of, and it's in the Gleaner of April 14, it's a few pages, about 4 pages, so it's two done. The claimant, I'm sorry about that. The claimant had challenged the prenuptial agreement on the basis she said that she did not receive independent legal advice. That was one of the things she said. But the judge, in handing down the judgment, gave the order. The judge said that the judge did not accept that as a reason for throwing out a reason for the judge did not acknowledge that the prenuptial agreement was not in place. The judge said a prenuptial agreement was in place. The other party understood, the party signed, etc. That's something that the court considered, that it was a fairly short, childless marriage where the parties infrequently visited each other. So some of the things that will come into play. So don't start jump up and say, hey, I'm married because they have a house, have a business mind. Remember the act already says that the court will look to see if you inherited the property, if you had the property before, the length of the marriage, and it's what the judge looked at. The judge said the marriage was short, the parties were visited each other infrequently, and there was no child was involved in the relationship. So we see some of the things that come into play. Very, 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 very interesting. And that is what we encourage our listeners to do, which is what I'm constantly encouraging my listeners to do. To get knowledge. Get knowledge. Because I know that some of my listeners, some of my village lawyers who have been trained over the years, will find it interesting to discuss with some of the other persons in your community. Because when the judge looked at the prenuptial that was signed, the judge said that even though it was not witnessed as it should, he said the wife did not produce any evidence that she had been prejudiced in signing the agreement. And the judge said that she found that the defendant, the husband's property, was protected in the agreement. And the wife was not placed at any disadvantage. And then that I'm going to be looking at every now and then in terms of this radio program. The act is called the Property Rights of Spouses Act, and it's a 2006 piece of legislation. So the court said, hey, I'm not going to change that prenuptial agreement because the wife did not meet the requirements that would want me to change. Marriage was short, marriage was childless, parties didn't live together for long. And this is something that we really need to probably be looking at a little bit more, I know that when you're in love and love is blind, that we might not see the need for the prenuptial agreement. But in terms of when you enter into a relationship, especially for example, suppose the parties had one party had children before, and it's in later on in life that this new relationship has come about. So Mr. and Mrs. Brown were married for years. Mr. Brown and Mrs. Brown had property. Mr. Brown passed on. Children are no big. Mrs. Brown is getting married again, or Mr. Brown passed on and Mr. Brown getting married again. Later in life, people want some companionship, and maybe that's something you need to give consideration to. Whether or not enter into this new arrangement, you should really put a prenuptial agreement in place. And this is something I want persons out in the diaspora to listen to as well. And remember, you can also, if after the marriage, you can do a post-nuptial agreement. You can also enter into an agreement. So don't say, it's 4 days for me. You can still enter into the agreement even though you have got married already, or even though you have been living together for the 5 years already. And we see a lot of older people getting married. Spouses have been died, or the marriages have been ended in divorce, people remarried. Just remember. And it's just last week that a friend I spoke about this somewhere, and somebody was saying to me that they asked, and they were told that there's no provision in Jamaica for prenuptial agreement. There is from 2006 we have had this provision. So it's something you need to consider. Those abroad, if parents are here in Jamaica, one spouse has died, maybe you need to look at that. If daddy come and call you to say, hey, I'm getting married because, etc., etc. Look at the prenuptial. Something we want us to consider as a people. The number to call 922-411-325, 922-411-325, and the text line 876-387-3183, 876-387-3183. 387-3183. And remember, you can send an email, gloria@landsolutions.ja.com. gloria@landsolutions.ja.com. And remember, we have an office in Ocho Rios, we have an office in Kingston, and we'll be in Ocho Rios this Thursday. So we're going to encourage persons to come to see us in Ocho Rios this Thursday. And we want to encourage persons to please let us deal with the last situation. Do not just wait until the matter is too late. Don't wait until things go too bad. Don't wait until things fall apart before we start saying that, hey, I should have done that. I've given you a good course, a good lesson today on prenuptial agreement. Okay, I've given you a good lesson on prenuptial agreement. And maybe some of you came in late and I'm saying, what is a prenuptial agreement? It's an agreement a person put in place to decide what is to happen to their properties in case the marriage will break down or in case of death. So the prenuptial might say, if I should die, my husband is not to get my property, or my husband to get just a half of the property or 1/10 of the property, or my husband is to get a portion of that house, but he's not to get this other house. Okay? Remember that it's a very, very important situation that we need to look into. And to consider when we are thinking of entering into relationships. A lot of times, because as I said, because I was just even reading something the other day where a party was saying that where one party decided, the lady decided she was not going to sign the prenup right up to the very day of the wedding, and the man canceled the wedding the day of the wedding because the wife refused. The fiance decided that she was not going to sign, and the man canceled the wedding because he was not going to allow her to get his assets in case of death. Things to consider. We're up on a break shortly. Remember the numbers to call 922-411-325 and the text line. Send your text messages to 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. Or send me an email, gloria@landsolutions.ja.com. gloria@landsolutions.ja.com. This is Land Solutions. I'm Gloria Bro. We're up on a break.
Contractors, developers, and small builders. Contact Coast to Coast Group of Companies for high-quality concrete products. The time by Coast to Coast Group of Companies is 3 o'clock. It continues to be all smiles at Wellington Dental. We offer dental care for the entire family, including cleaning, filling, whitening, and other dental services. There's wheelchair access and an exciting play area for the children. Wellington Dental, 57 Wellington Street, Spanish Town. Telephone 876-984-5482 or 876-749-3515.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land. You've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call. 876-908-1950. If you wish to get in touch with the law firm, Brown, Findlay and Company, 876-908-1950. There's also 876-908-3518. Although I think there's a phone issue right now. Did I hear correctly, Ms. Brown? Oh, okay. All right, so let's keep it going then. So the numbers for the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company, 876-908-3518 or 876-908-1950. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number here on Land Solutions, 876-387-3515. 3183. 876 387 3183. And here once again is attorney at law, Gloria Brown.
Thank you, Dervan. Please remember you can send your text messages to 876-387-3183, 876-387-3183. And somebody wants to know how does a will affect the prenuptial agreement. Well, having made the prenuptial agreement, the parties have agreed that in case of the marriage, one person to get, and that's a very important question. The parties have agreed that in case of a marriage, that in case the marriage should fall apart or the parties should die, then X should get that so and so. But you can always do otherwise. You can even give the property to the other party while you're alive, so you have this prenuptial agreement. Or you could will it otherwise. You could will it to your children because the prenuptial is there to the other party not to get it. Or you could even will it to that party. Or you could even will it to say the party should live there until the party dies. And then after that. And that's something that I want to look at as well, to say that person dies to live in your property until they die. That's something that you have to be very, very careful about, Because when you give somebody a life interest in your property, then what happens is that the life tenant has the power to sell. Of course, the person will have some obligation to the remainder of it. But when you say the property is my wife's property for the term of as long as she's alive, then the wife gets a life interest and she has the power to go and sell or to go and mortgage if anybody will lend her money on it. So those are some of the things that you need to consider as well. So even right now, even though I encourage my listeners and I say a will written by you is better than none at all, it is still important to get independent legal advice when your estate becomes a little complicated. If you just don't have a spouse and you're just leaving, or you're just leaving it for your spouse alone, or you're just leaving for spouse and children, it is usually not complex. But the reality is that in Jamaica we have this blended family where the children are not, a lot of times, it's not just a straightforward thing where the children, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, they have 5 children. Mr. Brown don't have any other except for the 5 that he has with Mrs. Brown, and Mrs. Brown doesn't have any other except for the 5 that she has with Mr. Brown. But the reality is that in a lot of what we're looking at, before Mr. and Mrs. Brown came together, Mr. Brown had 2 children before, and Mrs. Brown had 1 before. So sometimes it becomes a little more complex. And when it becomes a little complex, it might suit us to get independent legal advice. Very, very important. Number to call 922411325, and the text line is 387-3183. 387-3183. Someone wants to know the cost of writing a will. I don't usually quote cost on the radio, but remember, if you can't afford well, we know that a lot of us feel that Kingston is Jamaica. But remember that if you can't afford to retain a lawyer, there's a legal aid clinic at Bethel Baptist Church. That's 6 Hope Road in the heart of Calvary Street, just across from the supermarket, Shoppers Street supermarket, I think. Just across from that, there's a big Baptist church. Every day between 10 and 12, you can go and get your will returned. Just Bethel Baptist Church, Calvary Street between. So there's a legal aid there every Saturday. Kingston is not Jamaica. So that night it was for people in Kingston who want to go those in Westmoreland, etc. And I'm sure there are other legal aids there around. I know there's one at the Typical Baptist Church, 9 William Street in Spanish Town, on a Saturday as well. You can call and make an appointment for that one. So there are opportunities. But otherwise, if you can't afford a lawyer, get a will for it. So write the will and even send me a copy of it. I will look at it and say, hey, this part not written properly. Hey. But remember, when you write the will, the important thing is that you need to sign it in the presence of 2 witnesses. Very important. 2 or more witnesses, and the witnesses must be present at the same time. You can't tomorrow, the will is not going to be good. Here with you and all 3 of us sign at the same time, or the will is not going to be valid. And that's important. So you write your will, make sure you date it. Then you can buy the will from books where it's very user-friendly, guides you as to what to do. It has space for 2 executors. And remember, you can have even 4 executors. You can have 1, or you can have as many as 4. And I always preach that the best executors are your beneficiaries. You're leaving the things to your husband or your wife and the children, make them the executors. That's how, that's how I believe in that. I believe in not bringing strangers because I've seen too many persons make the wills and put strangers as the executors. And because strangers don't have any interest in it, they don't go ahead and move in. And name, as I said, as many as 4 executors if you can. Because another thing I'm seeing is that persons write their will and they name the child who lives abroad as the executor. And that child comes to bury the parents or participate in the burial, and we don't hear from that person again and they go on with the will. Also, make sure you make copies of your will. When we make wills in my office, there are 4. So it's 4 originals, really. Or if they ask for more, we do that. We keep one and we keep the parties the other. Sometimes you don't want people to see your will. I say to them, just say to your resident, you happen to make us a more abroad. This wrong will look for the will and we'll give you that information. So that's some of the things that we consider. But I beg of you, make your will. Don't sit down and say it's going to kill you. Whether you make it or not, you're going to die and believe. And we die in a better frame of mind when we make them when we make them and make everything certain. Make things certain, because I've said a lot of times on this program that a lot of time where we have so much bad blood and so much family feud is because the reality and expectation don't coincide. Mama said before she died that the property is going to be mine, and everybody knows that. But Mama did not make a will. When Mama dies, the property goes half to her husband and half to her children, because that's what happens when you don't make a will. But Mama said it was mine, and I am the one who built the house on it. I'm the one who bury her. I'm the one who look after her, and everybody know that it's mine. And no, she has died, and go make a will. My brothers and sisters come and say that they want their share. I'm a mother, husband with a father, come and they want the share. But that's the reality. Mama died without a will. Therefore, half of what she has will go to her spouse and half to all her children. And remember, in Jamaica, we don't have any inside and outside children. Again, a child is a child. Remember, under the Status of Children's Act, 1976, a child is a child. So don't come and talk about it. But that one is an outside child. That did have that one. As long as that it don't make a will, the outside, the inside, or a child is a child. A child is a child. So make provision, write it down. If you want John alone to get it, or you want John to get the house, the part of the house, write it down. And ladies in particular, I speak to my sisters today, do not let any man tell you it's going to be all right. Don't worry yourself, man. When we die, nobody can come take you out. Do not listen to them. Let them write it down. Okay? I said to the clients all the time, I never know that foolish people still making in 2024. Please, get it in writing. Children, everybody, don't let anybody tell you that, but don't make mama tell you or daddy tell you. But nobody can come to you. Nothing over, so get it written down. Get it written down. Do not take word of mouth. Word of mouth cannot ask property. And all the persons who come to say, hey, Miss Brown, everybody in the community know that the house is mine because that is, as I said to them all the time, I can't wrap up the people in the community and I cannot envelope and send the titles of it. I need documentation, documentary proof. Very, very important. Please remember the text line 876-387-3183. Text line 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. Email Dora@landsolutions.ja.com. Dora@landsolutions.ja.com. And remember, we're going to be in Ocherios this Thursday. Please come to the Ocherios office this Thursday between 10 and 1 for the land-related matters. And if you want me to get a title for you, which is what we really specialize in, and we have really been getting the titles for our clients. We've been getting the approvals, just that the process is a little slow, but most persons we have got approvals for your titles, just waiting to get the titles themselves. Just send me a text message, just say title. I prefer if you send the message by WhatsApp to 876-387-3183. All you have to do is say title, and I will send you what I need. Most important thing, if I'm going to get get that title before you do get the land surveyed. And suppose it's a big piece of land and you have a little house on it, Mama gave you that house spot, survey just your little house spot. A lot of times the clients will come and say, boy, we don't want to put up the land, we want it to stay in the family. That's good for your generation, but remember, you have a generation coming up, that sometimes they can't live good with their first cousins or their brothers and sisters. And I always feel that you should have your own title where you can leave your little spot. There's a part that you have built your house on. You can leave it to your children and they have their title. Or you can go and borrow money to use your initiative benefit to improve the little house you have on it. Maybe to get building a pool and go upstairs. Expand the house. And as I speak about going upstairs, children, please do not build on top of your mother's house. No matter how mama tells you to build, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea because most times it can't be stranded. And she can't leave the upstairs to you and the downstairs. Because as I say to the client, title is for land. So you're making the will and within one home on the veranda to this child. What happens when the house drops down? What happens when the house falls down? You don't will like that. You will, I will 1/5 of the property to this child, 2/5 to the other child, or 10% to that child, 80% to the other one, the other 10. You will like that, but you don't will who. You can put it in my sincere desire that John should occupy the bedroom and the front along with the living room and kitchen. You can put as a desire. But it's difficult when you will rooms. You don't know how to transfer. When you will rooms, you don't know what fraction to give first, and you can't put rooms on the title. So think about such things when you are making the wills, please. Consider such things. Remember the text line 876-387-3183. Good afternoon. My grandfather had a piece of land and he passed away before I was born. However, my father, who is my grandfather's son, was living with him and my father started paying the taxes for the land. Then my sister and I started paying the taxes when my father was given 20 days until this day. My father passed away in 2021. My father, before he passed, said he could not find the title in birth. So how do we get the title in our name? All right, interesting. All right, the first thing I want you to do, you said there's a title. So you can always go to the title office. You have one in Manchester, one in Manchester, one in Kingston, and get a copy of the title. Remember, the title is a public document, and you can always go and get a copy of anybody's title. When you are going to get the copy, take the tax paper with you because that will make it easier. You can always do the search. You can even do the search online, using the tax number. You can go to Eland, Jamaica, and get the search done and get a copy of the title. Also, because your father just passed away in 2021, you're going to need to administer your father's estate because you're going to make an adverse possession deed to say grandfather owned the property when he died, daddy took possession, and daddy occupied it until when daddy died, then whoever is there. So it's when you're going to have to administer daddy's estate and the property, because I don't know daddy, because daddy might not have made a will. Then the property is going to pass on to daddy's children. I'm going to continue with the explanation after the break. We're up on a break, Land Solutions, and I'm Gloria Brown.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
16 minutes past 3 o'clock.
How much do you know about spices and the impact they have on your everyday life? Join us every first and third Thursday during Farm Talk with Althea McKenzie at 6:18 a.m. for Spice of Jamaica. We'll give you tips, tidbits, and interviews about the revitalization and sustainability of the Jamaican spices, including ginger, turmeric, and pimento. That's Spice of Jamaica every first and third Thursday at 6:18 a.m. during Farm Talk with Althea McKenzie, right here on Power 106 FM. Spice of Jamaica is brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture Food for Purpose Jamaica Spices Project.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm, and we're still taking your calls on 876-922-4113 876-922-4113-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. And for Land Solutions, the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Old Hope Road, Winchester Road and Hope Road in St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 in the plaza in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. And so we continue to take your calls and try and get in those issues before time runs out. How about that? So let's hand you over once again to Attorney at Law, who has been very busy today, or busier.
Thank you, Dervan.
Thank you, Attorney at Law, Gloria Brown. Thank you very much. Okay.
So please remember to send the text messages to 876-387-3183. Right, so let me continue with this person. So you're saying grandfather died, leaving father on the property. Father paid the taxes and you have been paying the taxes, etc. Remember that paying the taxes is not on the property, it's just evidence, just helps to establish that you have been in possession. But if you are paying the tax and I'm in possession, I'm the one in the stronger position. So make sure that you keep your possession of the property. And possession doesn't mean that you have to live there and you could rent it out, you could be farming it, you could be checking on it and pushing it and fencing it, etc. So what you're going to do is that you're going to need to administer your father's estate. If your father did not make a will, the property is going to go to your father's children and your father's spouse. Half for the spouse, half for the children. If there's no spouse, then it's going to go to all your father's children. If your father did not make a will. So I'm going to ask you to make provision to administer your father's estate. If he did not make a will, he made a will, you're going to obey the will. And this is a word to encourage my listeners to do not wait until you have sorted out the property to make your will. You have been living with your grandfather's property. Father has been there all this time. Father should have made a will within it to maybe the two of you or to all his children or whoever he wanted to get it. Don't wait to sort out because some of the problems we have in relation to land, they're not going to be sorted right away. So don't wait. So I want you to administer your father's estate, and I will get a little bit more information because sometimes it's a little easier to administer the grandfather's estate as well if there's a title. So it helps me to get a little bit more information from you to see how many children grandfather had. And because suppose grandfather had 10 children, etc., it might be too difficult to go through all of that. So it might say to you, just administer grandfather's estate and let's go adverse possession. Suppose daddy was grandfather's only child, it might be easier to administer daddy's estate, administer grandfather's estate and then get the property passed on to your father's children. So that's some of the things that I would want to discuss with you. Could you explain the benefits of making a will for one's property or doing a trust? I hear a lot of persons ask that question sometimes, and it depends on your situation. We're not big on trust in Jamaica as a people. So I would need to hear the person's situation. Sometimes persons establish companies and they could establish a trust company to say that the trust holds the property. But I prefer for that person to give me a call, let us discuss and see the situation, what it is, because sometimes it's suitors to make the will. Sometimes it's suitors to transfer the property to the children directly. So those are some of the things that we need to do. You could transfer directly, or you could make the trust. You could do the trust, or you could form a company. I'm Miss Brown. I didn't get my father's name, but he built a house on his grandfather's father's land. He died 3 years now, but I've been living there for 11 years. I'm glad for this question, because if your father died 3 years ago, then the adverse possession claim doesn't start because you have been living there for 11 years. It starts when the father died. And I noticed you said you did not let your father's name, so it's going to give you a challenge to go and administer your father's estate and claim because you don't have his name. So it will be a very complex thing for you to go and prove paternity. Because the fact that you did not get your father's name means that you can't go and administer the father's estate without more. You have to prove in court that you are the child. So are there other children who could administer? So I need to get a little more. But you living there for 11 years with your father would not put in a claim for adverse. Would not mean you gone 11 years already. You have only gone 3 years. You're going to make an adverse claim. You have another 9 years to add up to the 12. So those are some of the things to consider. In a situation like that, maybe what daddy should have done, you were living there with him, so I made a will, because when you make a will, you can make a will, you don't have to will it to your daddy, don't have to say you are his child, you could will it to you, regardless of who you are. You could will it to a stranger, because we have what we call in Jamaica freedom of testamentary. We have freedom of testamentary disposition. You are free to dispose of your property as you see fit. You don't have to leave it for the spouse and children. You can leave it for a stranger. You can leave it for the neighbor. You can leave it for your church. You can leave it for the community. You can leave it for the children's home. You can leave it for anybody you want. So that it could have made a will, and that's what we are encouraging persons to do. Make the will. Maybe you don't want to leave it for the children because they didn't take care of you, but there's a lady in the community who has been looking after you, a little girl that you raised, who has been looking after you and want to leave it for her. You are free to do that. You're free to do that. That's something that we need to consider. Make the will. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to stop using other people. That's we say that we're going to become first world country when everybody free to make will because it's going to kill us. That's not first world thinking. And the person said he had 6 children. We know about each other. I'm the only child in Jamaica, and the other children said that they are not interested in going back to Jamaica. Well, let those who are abroad, let them put their money where their mouth is. Since they say that they are not interested, ask if they would administer the estate and give it to you. They would administer it, would go to them, and then they would transfer it to you. Ask them they are willing to do that. They're not willing to do that, then you're going to have to stay there until the 12 years have passed. And they could come in at any time and sell it under your feet. Okay, I hear another person say that, and then when you ask them to sign whatever they are to sign, it's a different story. That's something that you need to look at and to decide whether or not, they then decide whether or not they are going to be willing to go and administer this estate and give it over to you. And property has got very value in Jamaica, very valuable in Jamaica. Jamaica persons are aware of that. And a lot of times their talk is cheap. They are willing to say, hey, you can take it, but ask them to sign it over to you, and then that's sometimes a different story. The numbers to call 922-411-325. The text line is 387-3183. 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. Remember that we have an office in Ocho Rios, and you can come to see us this Thursday between 10 and 2. And we'll be glad to assist you. If you need a title for your property, you don't have a title, and you'd like to get one, please. We're just asking you to just send a text message, and we'll gladly assist you. Just send a text message. All you have to do is say title, and we will assist you in getting a title. Remember that you can always send us a text message anytime. Anytime, send us a text message to 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. This morning, my father gave me a hotspot, and I built on it. I surveyed it. But how can I go about it? I am listening, okay? I have to send the word thank you, but that's all right. I'm going to send you the information that you would need for me to assist you in Because when you have a title, it gives you power, it gives you authority. Okay, and I would really love to see you have that title so that you'll be able to be in a position to improve your lot, use your NHD benefits. When you walk into homes just with that title, they're glad to see you. They're glad they assist you in getting a home. And I'm encouraging all the other persons out there, the taxi men, the household helpers, the persons, the practical nurses. I'm going to encourage all of you to go into housing trust office and go in as a self-employed person and start throwing your little money. You can get that money to borrow to put a little house on that fund. I don't want anybody to put up the house until you have the title. Because I have situations where mama give you a piece of land that the house moving and she won't have the land. Don't want anything. The person makes the matter, the one who said the matter, everything about your father. If you don't have your father's name, you said she's also married. That makes it even more complex because the wife is the one who has to sort it out. Okay, I know she's not living in Jamaica, she's overseas, but she's the one who has to administer the estate because half of this property is hers and the other half belongs to all the children who have the daddy's name. Ask her to assist you in sorting it out. Don't do anything until they have sorted. Don't ask them. And she could give you a power of attorney to sort it out for her. Alright, so discuss it with her and she's willing. If not, you're going to have to sit down and pray that nothing happens until 12 years have passed. And that nobody interferes with you or comes to visit the property within the 12 years. So and say to my listeners, please make the will to sort out the estate. Please make the will sort out the estate so that things can be sorted out before it gets more complex. And remember, we're discussing prenuptial agreement. Prenuptial agreement, agreement that you make before the marriage or before you start living together, or you can do the post-nuptial agreement, which is the agreement that we make after the relationship has started. Remember that will be in our Ulterior office this Thursday between 10 and 2. Go there and see how best we can assist you. I want to thank all persons who continue to listen to Land Solutions. Thanks to Dervan, thanks to Adrian. We look forward to sharing again with you on Land Solutions. And Gloria Brown, have a good afternoon.
Help us protect Jamaica's borders. Tell us about any illegal guns coming through customs controlled areas. Call Crime Stop at 311. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
3:30. Are roads a major concern? What about those drains that are in need of repair or cleaning? Who's responsible for repairing my road and when will it be done? Join us this and every Tuesday morning at 8 during Morning Agenda as we travel on our roads with the National Works Agency and get answers to these and other concerns. You're welcome to visit their website at www.nwa.gov.jm. See the tender notices link for projects to be undertaken. You may also call them toll-free at 1-888-429-5NWA. That's 1-888-429-5692. Or follow them on Twitter at NWA_JA and Facebook at www.facebook.com/NWA Jamaica. The National Works Agency, developing safe, reliable, and quality roads.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me down. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day.
On the heels of today's edition of Land Solutions, during both sides of the story, Power 106 FM, thank you so much for staying with us or joining us, as the case may be. We appreciate you and your listenership and support. We're taking your calls on 869224112 876-922-4112 The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. But of course, taking your calls on the regular lines, 876-922-4112 876-922-4112 What's on your mind this afternoon? Your thoughts, your ideas, your suggestions, your concerns, your issues, whatever is on your mind. The lines are open. 876-922-4112 876-922-4112 So we look forward to your full participation. After all, it is your program, both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Taking your calls as usual on the regular lines and looking forward to your input, what you have to say, and on what subject matters. So over to you, our faithful listeners and viewers all over the globe, for making it both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. And welcoming your messages and your calls wherever in the world you are listening to us here on both sides of the story. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. How are you, sir?
I am fine, thanks. And you?
Good up in the mountain here, because from the storm we just get some light today. So last week or so, me never have no light that current that could I hear you up and thing.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Yeah, man, me just I hear you up and big your faces to do the task work what you're doing, because me like how you work, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. The thing I'm gonna like to Mr. Malcolm, the road, all the roads them up in the Blue Mountain here, from even before the storm is damaged. So you can imagine after the storm, and especially the fire, and I'm gonna like who have them there to control to really stop on it, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, we had a discussion a few days ago to remind the public officials, the members of parliament, the councillors, to remind them that they are not here to profile, but to work, not to profile.
And the next thing, Mr. Malcolm.
Yes.
The Blue Mountain coffee, the price of them for your farmers to the Blue Mountain coffee, it just kill out the Blue Mountain coffee, run farmers and workers and everything out of it, Mr. Malcolm.
How come? Tell us about it.
Well, look here. In 2014, and so we are at $14,000 box, and after that, after we have Raja Clariva, after Mr. Samu that take it over between, Mr. Shah, then drop it as low as all $3,000. And it takes time, right? Them come last year with around $7,000 and the end of the crop. Then bring it up to $10,000. But the $10,000 is just a drop in the bucket. I just believe we have to get less than $18,000 or more seats, sir. That's a very expensive thing, All right, now if you have a man that work for you in the bush and you can't give him $5,000, the youth are not working with you.
So how do you arrive at the 18,000.
No, well, look here. As 8 years ago, we used to get 14,000. 8 years ago when Raja Clark in office, and after everything raised Mr. Malcolm. At the time when you getting $14,000 for a box of Blue Mountain coffee, you could have get one of the dearest bag of fertilizer for $4,000. One of the same $4,000 bag of fertilizer around $18,000 feet in Malcolm.
Oh.
Lot of the farm up in the Blue Mountain here dead out. Especially the rich man, them leave it show it up several society people who like ministers, some of them are politicians, them show it up, the price cannot can maintain the farm, Mr. Malcolm.
But isn't it a matter of the market determining the price?
Mr. Malcolm, if the market is not determining the price, Mr. Malcolm, nothing in Jamaica right now cheap, nothing at all, and that is one of the highest grade product. That if you even check some any ordinary farm work things right now, Mr. Malcolm, is money on it. So when you pay a man $10,000, and I'll go pay one $3,000 to pick a box of coffee, a $7,000 leave. We are goodly then good. You have to pay a man an next $1,000 to get it there, to get it to the one them will buy it. So it just cannot work, Mr. Malcolm. Just to me to tell you, most of the Blue Mountain coffee dead out shake of low prices.
So where did the coffee farmers go wrong? What did they not do, or
what the low price, sir? If you're doing nothing and you're not making a profit off, it did not make sense.
Okay. And that
like the Minister of Agriculture, the Coffee Board, all whoever control it, come up and step up the price and build up back the Blue Mountain coffee, So not even the Blue Mountain coffee, the Jamaica coffee. I imagine I hear a caller one night and say Lowland coffee, like you said, some call Ghanaian, down the country coffee, $3,000 box. Who ever pick coffee for you? If you get $3,000 box, who gonna pick it? Who gonna work in it, Mr. Malcolm? The price needs to be stepped up under good management, sir. By even then, roughly then, the lowland coffee, the rest of them you get even $10,000. We could have keep them going, but we up here, it can't keep us going, but we have the higher grade, Mr. Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
So we need the minister and all who serve and control it to stop playing games with the Blue Mountain farmers and pay them for the coffee, sir. Because me see the man them who buy the coffee, they come like they are a gangster, like you know, so the 3-star gangster. All of them are gangster against the farmers, sir. I learned, say, in all America, you can get a pound of Blue Mountain coffee for less and $50 and stuff. And when you check it out, last year we start at $7,000 and then end of the year at $10,000. It can't work. And we don't have no one to complain to or no one call a meeting and have a meeting with us, sir.
And what about you yourself calling the meeting?
Well, me always call for the radio, sir. Me always call for the radio. When we talk to the Minister of Agriculture and the radio, them say they don't have no control over it.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, but I don't check, sir, if he's a minister and your number one product you don't have no control over. It doesn't make sense. Not the minister, the man them who buy it, he's a gang of them, sir, who robbing us, the farmers.
Those are very strong sentiments. We don't know of anybody robbing anybody. So no, but we still have to be careful. Remember? Okay.
Yeah, no form of disrespect. But we're not getting the fair deal, Mr. Malcolm.
Mm. I'm amazed though that a country that has turned out so many uh, trades union uh, organizations that you have had a difficulty getting representation.
Yes, Mr. Malcolm, that's true, man. We don't have no recommendation, sir. Because the only man you see represent us in coffee is during the time of Roger Clark, sir. Outside of Mr. Clark, no one do nothing towards it as minister. Because when Mr. Clark take it over one at a time, he dropped down. We are down something like we are get 1,700 and then drop it right down to some small money, and Mr. Clark come back and do the $700, bring it up to the 17, the $30, 30, where you say $3,000, they bring it down to $1,700, Mr. Clark bring it back to 3,500 and move it on during his ruling right up to $1,400, and since Mr. Roger Clark leave, I don't know, Mr. Malcolm, nothing. It come right down back to $3,000. Up to last year, them start the crop at $7,000. And the end it at $10,000. It cannot, those money cannot maintain a farm, Mr. Malcolm. Because if a man go there, you cut the sale for the day and are doing work. It can't work less than $5,000 in the day. The woman now will pick coffee.
Well, looks like you're going to have your hands full trying to lobby and advocate on behalf of the farmers.
Yes, sir. Mr. Malcolm, I don't know what you can do towards it, because me rate you like Sir Garfield Sobers or Brian Lawrence. I don't know what you can do to diesel it up, Mr. Malcolm.
Well, first of all, I don't know about the cricket in terms of cricketing terms. You're very generous in what you had to say, but
Mr. Malcolm, you just work on it, and I wish you a good happy Monday evening and a progressive week, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Keep up the advocacy.
Big up to your family and everyone who listens to you, and I will have a good evening, sir. Thanks for having me, please.
All right, thank you for the call, and we hope there will be some good thing coming out of what you've been experiencing so far.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
All right, take care. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story. There's more after the break.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
14 minutes to 4 o'clock.
Power 106 FM, the digital sound, and now reaching you in more ways. Listen to us on 106.1 to 106.9 on the FM band. You can also listen to us on the Power 106 FM app, which you can download on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can tune in on your mobile phones by dialing 631-359-8281 if you're in the US. And if you're in the UK, you can dial 0330-606-0953. Plus, listen to us on OneSpotMedia.com and the OneSpot Media app, or log on to go-jamaica.com. Power 106 FM, where all views can contend, giving you powerful talk radio in so many ways, on air and online.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm, taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876 365 3346. 876 365 3346. So we continue taking your calls on 876 922 4112 to 5. 876 922 4112 to 5. And we continue with more on both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. And it's always fascinating to compare and contrast the happenings from generation to generation. Quite remarkable. And we thank you for joining us in those reflections whenever we do have reflections on programming, stories, etc. And this is the story that we had cut away from, so to speak. 1949. No, we read this one already. Let's see. Let's go down the line here. 1964, Prince Buster, singer and record producer, announced he had been accepted into membership of the Black Muslim Organization of the USA and given the name of P. Muhammad. And where there's a lot of political activity happening in the region right now. And, Jamaica back in the day was involved. 1972, Black Olympic athletes from Jamaica, Barbados, Bermuda, Trinidad, Senegal, the USA, and including athletes from Venezuela on their way to the Berlin Olympics, unanimously voted to boycott a pre-Olympic track and field meet at Kempten in West Germany to protest the participation of Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, in the 1972 Olympics. Herb McKinley, Jamaican track and field official, says, "It is a matter of principle. Our team voted unanimously not to start if Rhodesia entered the meet." And we've seen how that has played out. We still have a lot more work to do in coming to grips with these situations. But we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, let's clear some more messages. Goodness, we have almost forgotten those who have been waiting on the text line, same as the WhatsApp number. So bear with us as we try and share as many of these messages as possible, even as we continue to take your calls here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. Let's see. So this one from the listener who goes by the moniker Waymaker, asking, what about natural fertilizer alternative? I think this is in relation to the coffee farmers. Yes, so if you're still listening, who is it? Michael, if you're still listening, what about natural fertilizer alternative? That's from the coffee farmer who was on a short while ago. Maybe you can help us in that regard. Horace, otherwise known as Spider, says, Mr. Malcolm, the government already has the record, in my opinion, of being the most oppressive government in recent years and are continuing to set the bar so high. How can a government give itself 2 and 300% increase in a poor country. They can't even finish the patching of Russo Road because of money. Waltham Park Road is around the corner in a very bad state. Money is the problem. Again, whenever you have a political party and the PM has to be talking on everything, you know that something is wrong with that party, maybe on its way out, says Horace, otherwise known as Spider. Rohan Johnson of Atlas Ocherios, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your message. He says, happy belated birthday to the late Marcus Garvey, coming from Rohan Johnson of Atlas Ocherios. Clocking in, he says. And Rudolph from Stony Hill says, good day, Mr. Malcolm. Hope all going well. I want to highlight a sea or river in front of Mandela Bus Park. The road needs to be lifted and good drains are needed. That is where the coaster buses park up to pick up passengers. The MP for the area needs to get that fixed. It has been there for some time now. You can swim in the water there, says Rudolph in Stony Hill. Hope the authorities in Stony Hill are listening and planning how they're going to make amends and just get the job done. Whatever needs to be done, get it done. Franklin McDonald is joining us with a link on the unknown connection between Marcus Garvey and let's see if we can get the other half in just a moment, taking a while to download. Let's see. But such is the nature of the system in terms of the process of uploading and downloading. And Franklin McDonald is always keen to share these nuggets of knowledge with us here on both sides of the story. And let's see how much of this we'll get. The unknown connection between Marcus Garvey and Ho Chi Minh. So this is a first time I'm seeing this connection, hearing this connection, hearing and seeing, because we're looking at the photos right now. While Marcus Garvey organized the United Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, in the 1920s, a young Ho Chi Minh lived in Harlem and analyzed the connections between all oppressed people. This article was originally published in what is referred to as Hood, H-O-O-D, Hood Communist. If you possess even a cursory history of oppressed peoples, then you have undoubtedly heard of the great Vietnamese leader Ho Chi Minh and the outstanding Pan-Africanist Marcus Garvey. Ho Chi Minh, whose actual name was Nguyen Al Quoc, was the founder and leader of the Viet Minh Front, which was the organized force of Vietnamese people that led their national liberation, against colonial invading forces, including the US, from the 1920s through the 1970s. Marcus Garvey was the Jamaican-born African who helped initiate and lead the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, which grew to be the largest liberation organization African people have ever known. Garvey started the UNIA in 1916 in Jamaica, but the organization didn't begin to take on steam until he moved to New York City and began to establish roots there that same year. By the mid-20s, the UNIA had millions of members on 3 continents and the Caribbean. To help the UNIA spread their message of African identity and the need for African self-determination, they had the Negro World newspaper, which was published in English, Spanish, and French in 33 countries. The UNIA's success in capturing the imagination of the African masses towards a vision of a united Africa for African redemption caught the attention of the 24-year director of the newly formed U.S. Department of Justice in 1919. That director, a man by the name of J. Edgar Hoover, would go on to become director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, until 1971. Hoover played a significant role in working to discredit Garvey and the UNIA, and Hoover orchestrated the trumped-up charges of mail fraud against Garvey that led to the creator of the red, black, and green flag being deported from the US in 1927. We'll pause there for the time being and come back with more in a moment.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
4 o'clock. Here is a financial literacy tip from your friends at Power 106 FM. Cut back on recurring charges. Do you subscribe to services you never use? It's easy to forget about monthly subscriptions to streaming services and mobile apps that charge your bank account, even when you're not regularly using these services. Review your spending for charges like these and consider canceling unnecessary subscriptions to hold on to more money each month.
Welcome to the new dimension in eye care, the Optical Zone, offering exceptionally comfortable eyewear. We fill prescriptions and do eye examinations. This complete optical store is conveniently located at Shop 14, York Plaza, Halfway Tree. Telephone 929-8656. The Optical Zone, providing vision for life.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm. And thank you very much, Mr. MacDonald, for directing our attention to another thread of stories and lessons from the exploits of the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey. In the meantime, we continue with more, taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. That's 876-922-4112-5. And the text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. 3346. And they wrote extensively on the relationships between the two leaders, Ho Chi Minh and Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And there's an indication here that the scenes utilized in popular movies like the 1995 Dead Presidents, starring Lawrence Tate, Keith David, and Chris Tucker, where U.S. troops fighting in Vietnam were presented with leaflet drops where the Vietnamese encouraged African troops to abandon U.S. forces by declaring, "Black man, go home. This is not your war," actually happened. There are numerous documented accounts of the Vietnamese capturing African U.S. troops and engaging in political education sessions with the captured troops, imploring them to abandon the immoral war effort because the Vietnamese were not their enemies. And you can read on more about that. It's the Black Agenda Report. Black Agenda Report. The unknown connection between Marcus Garvey and Ho Chi Minh. You can Google that and see how much you're able to digest and share. In the meantime, thank you very much, Franklin McDonald, for channeling that information in our direction. And all the best. As we continue with more, guess who's coming through? Steve McDonald in Toronto, Canada. Mr. McDonald, good afternoon to you. How are you?
Hi, Dervan. Good afternoon.
Good
And good
afternoon.
afternoon to your listeners, the people of Western and Lennox Speakers in Darlington and Savlamar, and also to my name school people. So a friend of mine was in Jamaica, or is in Jamaica right now, and he expressed surprise as to not really seeing Marcus Garvey being honored in any way on the national TV or anything like that. I can't even remember if there was a piece in the newspaper. What's your, do you recall anything on TV or anything going on?
No, but I recall something that dates back, way back, when I recited in the JCDC's Festival of the Performing Arts. I recited a speech by Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Let's see if I remember it. God and nature first made us what we are. Then out of our own creative genius, we make ourselves what we want to be. Follow always that great law. Let the sky and God be our limit and eternity our measurement. And it goes on. It will come back some more. Yes, that's, yes.
So, why, I'm curious, why is it that, I mean, he's a national hero. He is a great figure. He would almost be our Martin Luther King, one would say. And I'm curious, why isn't he celebrated, or why wasn't he celebrated in Jamaica?
But he is.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So you saw there was some stuff on TV for his birthday?
Not for this most recent anniversary of his birth.
And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, so
maybe slight or oversight. I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that you didn't see it. My other friend said he didn't see it. I watched TV over the weekend. I don't recall seeing anything. I don't recall seeing anything in the newspapers either that would befit the stature of the man. So I'm just wondering. So I can only say that he wasn't celebrated, and I'm just wondering why.
Well, you can
And
only
you don't
speak
recall
of.
us hearing anything on your program, either on not your program, on Power. I don't recall hearing anything on the RTR family group of people, radio people. So I'm just wondering why.
It's
Any insights?
no, it might have been an oversight.
Right. At the same time, we have our prime minister going around, and everybody's saying going around, culture minister, that we need to change the culture of the people, our Jamaican people. But I'm seeing a disconnect. I don't know if you're seeing it too. I don't know if I'm able to articulate it. I'm trying to give it that whole man is home. But we're at one hand saying that we need better people. We need to be doing things different. We need to have a new Jamaica. We need our people to be behaving differently. And then we have our own version of Martin Luther King, who is so great that we made him a national hero. But yet still we don't celebrate it. I am having a problem connecting the dots here, Mr. Malcolm. I don't know. This is some university PhD thing which is above the Manning School level. So I'm just trying to understand how we can have the example of someone, and not even on his birthday we acknowledge him in that way. And to me, I lamented the very small amount of information that is even around on these people who we say are national hero. And even someone like Marcus Mosiah Garvey that has done so much for the world, and influenced the world in such a way. And even in his, what they say, a prophet is not known in his home country or something like that. You remember that saying?
Yeah, not usually recognized in his country.
Yeah. It's unfortunate though. It's unfortunate in terms of where we're at, where we say we want to go, and we don't even acknowledge someone like Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And so something is wrong in terms of, and we're supposed to have a ministry of culture, and it can't be that because the minister is in hospital, everything stopped. And I really do hope that the minister recovers speedily. But something is wrong. Would you agree with Mr. Malcolm?
Well, something happened. Why it didn't happen? So we would have to ferret out that information to find out why it didn't happen.
I'm thinking like someone of the stature of Marcus Garvey, from a week leading up and a week beyond. Like it should be even a 2 week or even a month. A month talking about what he has done. Our Ministry of Culture having something in the papers, because we are suffering from, as a country, have the highest murder rate per capita throughout, one of the highest murder rate throughout the world. And because our Prime Minister says that he wants to change the culture of our people. So we're talking the talk, but we're not walking the walk. Anyway, Mr. Malcolm, your listeners have been complaining about people staying too long on the radio. So while I love to hear myself talk, I won't say much longer because I'll allow someone else to call in. And I hope that this will continue with your other callers, that they will be very mindful of how long they take. So I just want to give again a special shout out to my Manny's family, and the repairs are slowly. I know that you wanted an update. The repairs are slowly coming along with the roof. The roof hasn't gone back on as yet. There's some technical challenges that we're hopefully that we can we're working with the ministry to get resolved as quickly as possible. But we hope the minister will take care of it for us, and we will be open. We'll be able to reopen on September morning, bright and early, and the children welcome that new batch of children into school. Thank you very much for the time, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you for the call. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Here's another message, this one from Cuban in Georgia. Good afternoon, Sir Malcolm. No sound on the internet since 12 o'clock today. Oh, really? Had no idea. Good afternoon, Sir Malcolm. No sound on the internet since 12 o'clock today. Where is that? Where did that message come through? Okay, let's go. Let's share the information. Can we? Let's see if we can do that. It's a little tricky because we're still live. All right, we'll make a note. So that message from Cuban in Georgia. So over to our technical team to give us an idea of what's happening with why there has been no sound. According to Cuban in Georgia, no sound on the internet since 12 o'clock today. I'm not sure if it's midday or midnight. We'll see what we find out. Waymaker says there is a yearly celebration for Marcus. IRFM is involved. The question, that's not the question. That's not out of the question. The question is that Steve McDonald is asking is what is happening this year, or what has happened this year in that regard. More in a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now 4:15. This message is brought to you by the Jamaica Environment Trust.
We need clean air to breathe, good healthy food to eat, run clean and naturally. We have to take responsibility. Excessive deforestation, burning garbage, dust and noise creation is an unlawful violation. We have to practice conservation. We have a right to a healthy environment. And the law so don't break our limit. If you have an issue, make a complaint. Let's work together to protect Jamaica. We have a right to a healthy environment. And the law so don't break our limit. We have to do a part to keep the place clean and take care of our island soon.
We all have a right to a healthy and clean environment. Report any issues to the authorities if you feel your rights have been breached. Call the Jamaica Environment Trust for more information.
Hey, Mas Reggie, you tried it, but let me tell you to buy it. You mean you knew what that Caribbean chemicals carry? Yes, sir. We buy it from the farm store around the corner. It's the most effective glufosinate ammonium burner on the market, and it is safe to spray between crop rows using a spray shield. With the suko, I need to tell the farmers who bought this right now. Lifeline herbicide, a non-selective contact herbicide that controls hard-to-kill weeds like nutgrass and whitehead. Be safe, read the label, wear your PPE. Lifeline, distributed by Caribbean Chemicals and available at farm stores island-wide. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, presents their 60th annual conference from Monday, August 19 to Wednesday, August 21 at the Ocean Coral Spring Mountain Spring Bay in Trelawney. Join Power 106 FM for a live outside broadcast of Morning Agenda from 7:15 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Tuesday, August 20 from the JTA's 60th annual conference for discussions with key stakeholders in Jamaica's education sector. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA. Unite and serve. That's a broadcast of Morning Agenda, Tuesday, August 20, from the Jamaica Teachers Association's 60th annual conference at the Ocean Coral Spring Mountain Spring Bay in Trelawney from 7:15 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on Power 106 FM.
In a couple of follow-ups, Steve McDonald says he's referring to the app. The app is down. That's the Power 106 app. Okay, over to the technical team. Steve is reporting that the Power 106 app has been down. He says since 12 o'clock. And there's another message here. This one in relation to Marcus Garvey says, tell that caller Irie FM was the only media house that celebrated Marcus Garvey. These media personnels are a big joke. Tired, says this person. Thank you for your message. And this one from Alfred saying, same thing in Queens, New York. No Power 106 FM since midday today. Okay. Over to the technical team to give us an idea of what's happening there. Thank you. Checking on it. In the meantime, we continue with more of your messages and your calls here on both sides of the story. Hello to Velta Wilson. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for checking in as usual. And also Norman Hines says good afternoon. He says, good afternoon, Sir Dervan, Malcolm, and listeners. Good afternoon, Norman Hines. Thank you for joining us. Good to have you on board both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. So the numbers to call once again, 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. Someone has sent us a voice note, which we haven't been able to audition. We haven't been able to listen to before making a decision. Let's see what happens as we continue with more on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. Good afternoon to Ras Astor Black, Bishop Douglas Gooden. Greetings to you too. Kevin Galloway, hello. Sharon Smith of J. Manny, the Jose Marti Alumni Association New York chapter. They're in touch with us as well. This one, let's see. All right, that looks like that's just, except for let's see here. Yeah, I think we have exhausted the current messages. We're just still checking to see if we have covered everybody in that regard. And Joan in Bermuda, we need to get an update. We spoke with her a few times, and during the storm, before, during, and after, and they seem to have fared well. We'll double check though, just to be certain, but they seem to have fared well. And the Bermuda Electric Light Company, Belco, reporting that as of 5 p.m. today, they have the following storm-related outages to report. Devonshire, 81, Hamilton, 1,882, Paget, nil, Pembroke, 554, Sandys, 168, Smiths, 43, Southampton, 652, St. George's, 8, Warwick, 1,575. And they say they have a total of 4,963 customers experiencing an outage. They say their crews are working to restore power to customers as quickly and safely as possible. And this is not JPS, this is Belco, Bermuda Electric Light Company, Belco. And this report has come to us on WhatsApp. Thank you very much for following up and sharing that update with us. And that's, let's see now. Barry, good afternoon to you. All the best. And Calvin in North York, Ontario, Canada, tuned in as usual. Mac, otherwise known as Bunty, didn't he pop up at some point earlier on? And we'll continue to monitor the situation. Neil Curtis is also on board of Farm Up Jamaica, and he continues to lead that organization admirably. We wish him well. And a couple of pictures have been posted, pictures of Garvey. But we continue here on both sides of the story. Hello to Sophia Nicholson of This Is Jamaica. She's checking in with us as well. Thank you very much. And we continue to take your calls at 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. Alfred says, I'm watching you on YouTube. Your voice is good, but the telephone calls are low in volume. Don't know if you can get up the volume before you go in 36 minutes. Not sure what is causing that, but we'll see if there's anything possible behind the scenes to bring up the audio a bit. Thank you for that update, Alfred. Donovan says, for the new school year, we need the JUTC to allocate some buses for the students. I suggest from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and from 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Next, the matter of example, coffee price or dollar needs to be consistently revalued to even 10 Jamaican dollars to $1. Of course, over a continual period of time to make our products more competitive, says Donovan. Thank you very much for sharing that information with us, Donovan. As we continue with more here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, and taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. And the text line 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. So over to you, our faithful listeners at home and abroad, to share with us your thoughts, your ideas, your suggestions, your concerns, your issues, your questions. 876-922-4112-5. Hello to those of you who are first-time listeners and viewers. To our everyday, long-time supporters, thank you very much. You keep us going. You do. All right, let's see. So this next message is accompanied by, is it video and photo? Videos. Of course, we have to check them out first and see what's happening here. It's a presentation. All right, looks like we're gonna have to look at this off air. But it's an event, and we'll follow up as the time goes by. In the meantime, we're still taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. And we need to take a break here on both sides of the story.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30. Shop in ease and comfort at Music Mart. Get everything music: pianos, keyboards, acoustic and electric guitars, drums, amplifiers, recording equipment, instruction text, and reference books. Shop online at www.musicmart.biz or visit 8 South Avenue, Kingston 10, or call 876-960-7712. Music Mart, Jamaica's only complete music store.
So Alfred has sent us two video clippings, and the setting has both the American and the Jamaican flags, and it is a Gavi event or a Gavi-oriented event. From what we are seeing, the information is still not sufficient, but we'll follow up. Yeah, there's Gavi paraphernalia set up in the room as well, and the colors of the UNIA. So that's that. I don't know, this is Sophia on another line. Not sure. All right, we'll follow up on that. In the meantime, we continue with more on your program, both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. Still taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. And Alfred shows us that these are the videos, the clippings are from Marcus Garvey's birthday celebration in New York on the 17th. No, we weren't giving you the exact date there. The exact date would be 1887. Thank you very much, Alfred, for sharing the information, and all the very best. In the meantime, keep those calls coming in, those messages as well, 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. Let's see if we can, what's this now? Good day. No, this is from the 15th, is it? From the 15th. Good day, Mr. Malcolm. Well, them for call, make we know them voice, and leave the lady alone. I think, that was a subject matter that was being discussed. In the meantime, though, we continue with more here on both sides of the story, Poro 106 FM. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. Horace, otherwise known as Spider, says, ask that farmer, Mr. Malcolm, if he has a pickup, if he does, wondering if he has a green plate to add to his problem. I don't know, Horace. When you find out, please let us know. Well, thank you for sharing. Nonetheless, the lines remain open to you for your messages, your comments, and your general feedback. And Horace says, ask that. We read this one already. Yeah, I read that one already. Let's move on. 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. And did we finish reading this one here about the JUTC? Yes, I think we did. Thank you very much, and all the very best as we continue with more on both sides of the story, Poro 106 FM, and still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Hello, Jacqueline Simmons, we see you. Thank you for popping up online. And this one, another message, is it? So strange that we haven't heard from GBO again from the day I spoke about Crocs, says Horace, otherwise known as Spider. Well, we hope GBO and Crocs are fine. And we hope you're also fine, Horace, otherwise known as Spider. Thank you very much for your usual participation on your program, Both Sides of the Story, here on Power 106 FM. Still taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. Keep those questions coming, keep those messages coming, keep those comments coming, keep those thoughts and ideas coming here on Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. And a bit of history in the meantime for the interregnum. Orville Wright was born on this day in 1871. Orville and his brother Wilbur were the first people to have a successful, sustained, and controlled flight of an aircraft with a motor. That's worth retracing our steps to check out that one. And the first of two mail carts manufactured in England arrived in Spanish Town on this day in 1873. It was brought in by Mr. F. Allwood, the post office inspector, having taken 1.5 hours to cover the distance of 13 miles from Kingston. Clumsiness and weight proved too much, and so it was soon tired and finally scrapped. The Postmaster General terminated the mail contract and spent £200 per annum on the transportation of mail by road between Kingston and Spanish Town. The idea of a subsidized mail coach service with an initial capital of £6,000 had been raised some years earlier, but no decision had been reached, and it was not until the cessation of the conveyance contract that public complaints of mail delays began to arrive from the northern parishes, and His Excellency the Governor ordered 2 mail carts to be manufactured in England to begin the service. The first arrived on this day in 1873, and as we have shared on this program before, Jamaica's postal service was the first to be established in the British Commonwealth when it was set up in Spanish Town in 1671. This one, on this day in 1926, about 2 in the morning, fire broke out in a dry goods store built entirely of wood. The flames eventually blew over to the roof of the Falmouth courthouse, igniting the shingles and the porch. There is a discrepancy in the literature on historic Falmouth when compared with Kerry Robinson's well-researched book on Falmouth, Jamaica. The historic Falmouth heritage has the courthouse being destroyed by fire on this day in 1926, while Kerry Robinson's book on Falmouth puts the fire at 2 a.m. on Thursday, August 1926. We trust that This discrepancy has been corrected one way or another. The town of Falmouth fought to put out the fires, but local fire equipment was ill-equipped for the task. The hoses were breaking from dry rot, and the water pressure needed to put out the fire was not available. Once it was evident that it could not be saved, employees and others began removing valuables from the building. And the story goes on. On this day in 1936, a Gleaner writer wrote about driving along the new Palisadoes Road. On this day in 1936. Also, Sir Arthur Richards assumed the post of Governor of Jamaica. On this day in 1938, he replaced Edward Denham, who died in the Kingston Public Hospital on June 2 and was buried at sea on the following day. Edward Denham's name lives on in Denham Town, which used to be known as Smith Village, from as far back as 1934. Smith Village adjoined what was then known as Trench Pen and stretched as far as Maypen Cemetery. In 1939, Smith Village was renamed Denham Town in honor of Governor Edward Denham, who served as governor of Jamaica from 1935 to 1938. Renaming Smith Village as Denham Town was seen as part of the process of slum clearance and the building of model housing. We have more, but we'll pause there for the time being and come back with more on today's edition of Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. More in a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45. Here is a financial literacy tip from your friends at Power 106 FM. Educate yourself. Take charge of your financial future and read a few basic books on personal finance. It is helpful to develop a basic investment vocabulary. It's also important to understand some basic investment principles such as risk and reward and asset allocation. Once armed with knowledge, don't let anyone take you off track. Whether a significant other who encourages you to waste money or friends who plan expensive trips and events you can't afford. Research professionals like financial planners, mortgage lenders, or accountants before utilizing their services.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876 365 3346 876 365 3346. Hello to Galloway Kevin. Galloway Kevin, good afternoon to you. Thanks for checking in here on both sides of the story. And he asks, how are you, Major, in your lowly state with my God? From Galloway, Kevin. Donovan White says, some time ago, the transport minister spoke about allocating some buses for students. Have not heard anything more about that. One would imagine we're just about at that point where such announcements are made. Some work is being done, but it waits to be seen the extent of the work and the resources that are being employed or will be employed. Someone wants to know if I attended Excelsior High School. No, I didn't, but I appreciate the work of that great educator. What's the name now? All right, we'll pick that up in just a moment. All kinds of things popping up. Hold on a moment. Let's see. Sorry, no, Devon Hunter. I did not attend Excelsior High School. I did not. I've done broadcasts from Excelsior High School, and we generally have very good camaraderie with the students of other institutions, which is a good thing. All right, let's take some more of your calls before time runs out. 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. And the text line 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. And we continue with more on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. But we salute those who continue to carry on the legacy. And so we continue. I have some more for you here on both sides of the story. Both sides of the story still streaming live. And the great Wesley Powell would be proud of the institution he founded. And let's see. Galloway Kevin says, super thanks to you, Master, as it is written in the scripture of truth. Really appreciate all your efforts forever. Worship God, says Galloway Kevin. Thank you very much for your messages. And we still have a few more minutes to go as we continue with more here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. Let's see. Right, so this was about the new school year. For the new school year, we need the JUTC to allocate some buses for the students. I suggest from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and from 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Next, the matter of example, coffee price or dollar needs to be consistently revalued to even 10 Jamaican dollars to 1 US. Of course, over a continual period of time to make our products more competitive, says Donovan White. Some time ago, the transport minister spoke about allocating some buses for students. Have not heard anything more about that. Well, it's back to school time. Somebody must have that information ready to share and spread. And we continue. Albert Lewis in Coconut Creek, Florida, has joined us. He says, "Good afternoon, Mr. D. Just checking in." Thank you very much for checking in, Mas Albert. Trust all is well with you and yours. And thank you very much for making it both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices. And sharing with you as well some useful historical information, which we hope and trust our listeners, many of our listeners, are keen on some of that information. We share nonetheless. So we continue with more on your program, both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Still taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. And let's also acknowledge, as usual, those across the diaspora for their continuing listenership and support. Hello once again to our listeners in Bermuda, and we trust that you will continue to ride out your storm, as the song says, and we trust that things are more manageable than anything else. But we thank you for the updates as well that you have shared with us. And let's see. Our friends in Puerto Rico also trust that you have successfully ride out your storm as well. You have successfully and let's keep it going before it's time to wrap. 876-922-4112-5. Still taking your calls and your messages. 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Monday, the 19th of August, 2024. We thank Adrian Reed for doing technical and production duties behind the scenes. We thank our participants, our callers, our contributors here on both sides of the story. Importantly, we thank you, our faithful listeners and viewers at home and abroad, for making it both sides of the story. So we thank you all very much. And all things being well, Both Sides of the Story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care. Bye.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
news, comprehensive, powerful, and credible.
106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's news at 5.